Alright, in this video we're going to practice finding the exact value of this trig expression. So the first thing I need to do is take this this angle that is not a special angle, and I'm going to split it up into two angles that are special angles. So the way I like to do that is by subtraction. So I'm going to start with this 13 pi over 12. And I'm going to try subtracting pi over 4, but if that doesn't work, I'll subtract something else. So of course I would need like denominator, so I would multiply by 3. Now if I do that, I've got 13 pi over 12 minus 3 pi over 12, so that's going to give me 10 pi over 12. So that's going to reduce down to 5 pi over 6. So this is looking good since pi over 6 is one of our special angles. So now I've got 13 pi over 12 minus pi over 4 is equal to 5 pi over 6. Adding pi over 4 to both sides, that gives me 13 pi over 12 is equal to pi over 4 plus 5 pi over 6. So for the rest of the problem, I'm going to look at this as the tangent of pi over 4 plus 5 pi over 6. Okay, let me just erase this part. Alright, now I'm going to use my sum formulas to split this up. Alright, so the tangent of a sum, I'm going to use this formula right here. So this is going to become the tangent of pi over 4 plus the tangent of 5 pi over 6 all over 1 minus tangent pi over 4 tangent 5 pi over 6. So the tangent of pi over 4 is 1. And let's see, the tangent of 5 pi over 6. Forget the 5 for a second. The tangent of pi over 6 is radical 3 over 3. So the only question is it actually negative radical 3 over 3? So I'm thinking about the quadrant that 5 pi over 6 would be in. And when I think about my pi over 6's, I know they kind of look like this. Okay, so 5 pi over 6 is right here in the second quadrant, and tangent is negative in the second quadrant. Okay, so instead of positive radical 3 over 3, I'm going to go ahead and erase that and put minus radical 3 over 3 because it's negative. Okay, and meanwhile in the denominator, well, tangent of pi over 4 is 1, so I can kind of throw that out. And then we've already discussed that tangent of 5 pi over 6 is negative radical 3 over 3. So that would be like having, okay, so I would have 1 minus negative radical 3 over 3. But that's silly. Minus and negative is addition, so I'm just going to go ahead and put negative 1 plus radical 3 over 3. Now I need like denominators to add and subtract. So I'm going to actually replace these 1's with 3 over 3's. So this would actually be 3 over 3 minus radical 3 over 3 and 3 over 3 plus radical 3 over 3. Okay, so that's going to give me 3 minus radical 3 over 3 divided by 3 plus radical 3 over 3. All right, so what now? Let's multiply by the reciprocal. So this is going to be the same thing as 3 minus radical 3 over 3 times, no, I don't need to do that. Ha. I'm supposed to say, oh look, the denominators are the same, so they're just going to cancel out. So now I have 3 minus radical 3 over 3 plus radical 3. We must rationalize the denominator, and we can accomplish that by multiplying the denominator by its conjugate, 3 minus radical 3. And we have to do the exact same thing in the top, 3 minus radical 3. If I multiply this out, FOIL, double distribute, whatever you want to call it, that's going to give me 9 minus 3 radical 3 minus 3 radical 3 plus 3. And in the denominator, I'm going to get 9 minus 3 radical 3 plus 3 radical 3 minus 3. See how much space do I have here. Okay, so that is going to give me, just combining my like terms here, I've got 12 minus 6 radical 3. Of course, this cancels out, and I'm just going to have 6. So that's the same thing as 12 over 6 minus 6 radical 3 over 6. So that's going to give me 2 minus radical 3 for my final answer.